Hey guys, today I'm coming to you with an art project, and this is my very first art tutorial and I'm super excited. So I am very old school. I don't know how to do all the YouTube stuff, so I'm going to show you everything on paper. So today we are doing this little art project, and this is a hand illusion art project. And I'm gonna go ahead and give you a quick overview of this before we get into this, but you should be able to see my hand. And I made this puppy when I was in 7th grade. And now I'm gonna teach you guys how to make it. So to be able to do this project, you're going to need a ruler, markers, and I'm gonna tell you which one specifically you need, white paper, and a pencil. So, before we get into the actual drawing part of this art project, you need to have a little bit of an art lesson with it. So, you'll notice with my hand that I did, that I specifically chose orange and blue for the colors. Well, I didn't just pick those at random. The little lesson portion of this project is, you're gonna get a little lesson on colors. So I'm about to show you a color wheel. And the color wheel you specifically use, I hope you can see that, I know it's a bit bright. You use a color wheel for when you're painting or mixing colors. Well, we're not mixing colors here, but you need to understand the difference between cool colors and warm colors, or in this case, complementary colors. So you'll see that there are arrows on this color wheel, and they indicate which ones are primary colors and then which with another color gives you complementary colors. So on mine, you'll see that I did blue and orange, and there is a color calling these blue primary, but when you attach it to orange, it actually becomes complementary. This would be the cool color and this would be the warm color. And then another primary is yellow and red. Primary, you basically have your three colors, which is blue, red, and yellow, because when you mix blue and yellow together, you get different variants of green. When you mix yellow and red together, you get different variants of orange. And then when you mix blue and red, you get different shades from like violet purple to different colors of red. So to make it easier for you guys, I gave you 3 color schemes that you can pick from. So your complementary colors, and you can only pick one set. So you're either gonna go with yellow and purple, orange and blue, or red or green. So whatever color scheme you want, you're gonna wanna do those markers. Well, since I've already done orange and blue, I actually wanna challenge myself and do yellow and purple, because yellow, if you make a mistake with it, it's really hard to cover it up. So I got my 2 markers for that, and now we're ready to start. So you first need your clean sheet of piece of paper, and you wanna put your paper vertically, so top to bottom. And I'm gonna try to zoom out a little bit more so you guys can see the whole sheet. Let's see if my dot camera cooperates. Okay. All right. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is draw your hand. So I'm a righty. I normally write with my right hand, so I'm gonna be sketching my left hand, and I'm gonna take my ring off to make it easier. So I'm gonna turn my paper sideways so I could trace it easier, because it's really hard to actually go this way, and I'm a little picky when I draw. So I turn my paper a little bit angled, and you want to draw a little bit of your wrist. You don't want to go all the way up. You don't want your fingers to go past the paper, but you don't want them all the way at the top. So I would put your hand directly in the middle of the paper and make sure you have some wrist showing. So when you're tracing, you're going to want to put your pencil against your hand and your skin and lightly sketch it. And you want to make it one continuous line, so please go slow. Make sure to keep your pencil straight. Don't bend it in, because when you bend your pencil in towards your finger, you actually make your finger and your hand skinnier than what it really is. So go very slowly, and you're not pressing down super hard to where your lead is dark. And make sure your fingers are spread a good amount. You don't want them together. You should feel the wood of the pencil moving along your hand and your wrist. Okay, and there is my hand. So now, this is where the technical portion comes in. So you're gonna need your ruler now. Excuse my cat, she's coming into the camera. So, you're gonna need your ruler part, and you're gonna be using the inches of your inches portion of your ruler. So I'm gonna turn my paper horizontally now. So I'm gonna start with the 1, and you're gonna put your paper directly at the edge of the line. So you're gonna be marking your paper along the long edge of the paper by inches. So you'll notice you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You should be able to get 10 ticks, as I call them, and you want to do these very lightly because you're going to eventually color them in with marker, but if you do it too dark, you'll still be able to see the pencil through the marker. So do it very lightly. Okay, and what you do to one side, you do to the opposite. So now I'm going to flip it. And same thing, I'm going to get my 10 ticks in. Hope you guys like my music. Okay, so my ticks are in there very light and you probably can't see them very much from my camera, but I promise it'll be a little bit more in depth once we get started. So this is the difficult portion of the project. So I'm gonna start from the top and go all the way through the bottom. It's gonna take me a minute, I'll try to be quick. So at the top portion, you shouldn't have any fingers in between your lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this done as quickly as possible. Remember, when you're tracing your line, you're making it super light, not dark, because you don't want your pencil to be visible through your marker. And since I chose yellow, you'll definitely be able to see something. So now this is where it's gonna get technical. So you'll notice that once I put my ruler down, I have fingers in this next strip of the line. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna avoid those lines by skipping them. So once you get to a digit or finger, you stop and then you continue as if the line went through it, but without putting the line. We'll get to that last. So stop and go, stop, go, all the way till you get to the bottom. And there's a reason we're doing this, and I'll explain it as soon as I'm done with my lines. And you should be doing this with me. I'm going at a pretty steady pace. Do not worry about your lines being perfect. As I said, depending on the color scheme you pick, you're not even gonna see some of these mistakes that you make. Well, I guess my cat wants to get in on the art project. Hopefully she's not obscuring your view, just your light and my light. Okay, I have 2 more lines. Ah, get away, Luna, go, 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 go. Okay. Okay. And my last line is right here. Perfect, okay. So now, we're gonna get to the hand portion. So I'm gonna show you my example again. So you'll see that the fingers, the lines eventually go through, but they're going in at curves. This is where the illusion part comes in. You're trying to make your hand 3-dimensional by showing curved lines, and we're gonna do that now. So for this portion, I know I'm gonna have some people get super OCD about it. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna zoom in on the fingers so you can see how I do this. So always start from the top and work your way down. So from here, you're gonna connect the lines, but you're gonna make them rounded. Now it's up to you how exaggerated you wanna make them, but I'm not gonna make them too exaggerated because when you look at your fingers, they don't have a big bump like this. It's just a nice little round hump. So from here, I'm just gonna lightly go like that. Again, you're drawing lightly. And then for this portion, yeah, you got baby lines, just try to make do. Same thing here. And if you actually want to do more stripes, you can actually make your lines smaller than an inch. You can do half an inch. It's up to you. So now here's where we get a little cray-cray. So back to my example, and I'll zoom back out. You'll see that here there's no fingers. So you're gonna have to imagine that the fingers are going all the way down into my hand, and you're gonna have to put where you think those humps would go. And eventually those humps leave the hand because your hand doesn't have fingers all the way down here. So here, still at an angle, I'm gonna pretend that I have that, down, down, and down. And it still ends up on this line. Then I gotta continue it over here. And now from here, I'm just gonna go ahead and round my hand out like it is here. So from here, I'm just gonna go bigger hump. And since there's no line here, I'm just gonna have to pretend it's there. My hand's gonna stop right here. But I do have this line. Same with this one. And then all the way down to your wrist. And there it is. So now we can go ahead and start coloring. So I started with my cool color first, which in this case, my cool color is purple and my warm color is yellow. So if I were you, I would leave these open, ready to go. They shouldn't dry out if you're being quick about this. But you do need to be careful when you're coloring because you don't want to get your color scheme mixed up. Like if I do purple and then I do yellow and then I do purple, purple, well then your whole drawing is gonna be ruined and we can't fix that. So here we go. Make sure you're not smearing your marker here, so you try to leave your hand up as much as you can. And if you look at the marker, you'll notice it's pointed. When you're doing this, you can use the point to outline your lines like this. But ultimately, you want to color with the flat end of the marker because you'll get a nice, cleaner line. And I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So make sure you go super slow. And you're getting all the way around your strip. Because that's essentially what these are right now. You're going to get some marker on the table for the end portions. It's just inevitable. But if you have mommies or daddies that are sticklers about this, you can get another sheet of paper and where you're coloring, put it on the bottom and then you can go ahead and color away. And it actually allows you to get all the way to the edge. So you don't have to worry about making a mess. So if you want to actually outline your stripes first, you can. I'm not going to do that just because I've done this before, but I am going to continue drawing or coloring. When you color, you want to make continuous strips. You don't want to be going in like this. You're going to be wasting your time. So when you do this, you're going to do long, even strips. The markers are built for this, so don't worry about running out of ink, but make sure you go from end to end. And they're going to look like stripes, but that's actually going to help the finger portion. So I'm done with that purple one. Now I'm into my yellow. And I told you yellow is a challenge because yellow, you're gonna see everything. You're gonna see the pencil marks with this color. So if you don't want yellow, I would do the other two color schemes. So I'm gonna turn my paper this way and I'm gonna go slow because if I mix my yellow marker with my purple, my marker is going to be stained. And then again, end to end, clean lines. And my cat is back. And switch again. And now we're getting into the purple portion with the fingers. So when you actually get to the fingers, what I do recommend you do is actually outline the fingers first. So when you're coloring here, you're still gonna do those end-to-end lines, but you're gonna put more emphasis in the curve. So when you're doing these, you're gonna use the curve portion of the marker and you're gonna curve the lines. And I'm gonna do that first. Take your time. You want nice even strokes. And then I'm gonna go ahead and continue the outlines. And this is why we also pick a darker color, because while you saw the pencil with your warm color, the cool color eventually colors it if you color it in right. So when you get to the hands or the fingers, make sure you try to get as close as you can without actually getting onto the finger, because that's gonna mess up the line. And it's gonna take a minute. So you'll see I'm skipping and imagining that these lines went through. And then I'm gonna go back over the finger so you can see it. Here we go. Perfect. And now you can see the edge of that finger perfectly. And then this is all you're gonna do with the whole hand. And it is time consuming. If you take your time, your hand will look like my first example. And even if you make a mistake like that, where it wasn't a seamless line, just go back to the finger and make it a little bit more obvious. And I do recommend you do these in all the complementary colors, so you'll get 3 sets of hands. So there's my first finger, and you can see it. And then it helps if you actually go back in and on the edges, make the edges a little darker. Or just make the fingers darker. It's up to you. That's my brother in the background laughing like a hyena. He's playing the new COD game. So you're just gonna keep this process going, and I'm gonna continue this, and I'll show you the end product in a little bit. All right, guys, and we're back, and I finished. So this is my final product. I do like it. You'll definitely see the hand is a little bit more prominent here than with my other one. So a few tidbits and tips. I will say that the warm color was definitely easier to color in. You don't have to do as much definition with the lines because the pencil shows through on the warm color. And which means if the light color or the warm color was easier, the dark or cool color was a little bit more difficult to apply. So you'll notice that my hand, the actual hand portion of it is definitely darker. And I did that to exaggerate it so you can definitely see that the hand is there and it looks like it's jumping up at you. Another thing you'll notice that while you're coloring it in, your paper is gonna start to bend, which is normal because this is a thicker paper than printer paper, so it's absorbing all that ink. And when that happens, the paper gets wet, and then once it dries, it slowly starts to curve. So I recommend that while you're coloring the bottom and that's drying off, you either tape off the portion here or use your ruler if you have it to weigh it down. Or what I just did, I just rolled my paper the opposite way and then just moved it a little bit to bend it, and that flattened it out for a little bit. But yeah, that's my final product for the Hand Illusion art project. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you do the other complementary colors.